Beloved, there comes a moment in life when you must rise to your feet, lift your chin, and with a voice that trembles at first but grows stronger with every word, declare it, and not just till I am gonna win, not because life has made it easy, not because all the stars have aligned in your favor, not because the path is clear and smooth. No. You will win because something inside you is greater than every force outside of you. You will win because you have decided not to bow to fear, not to surrender to doubt, and not to collapse under the weight of delay. You see, life has never promised us ease. Life promised us lessons. It promised us storms that would shake us, to live, fires that would test us, valleys that would humble us. And yet, in the same breath, it also promised us sunrise after night, spring after winter, growth after loss, and not just to live. That is why I say to you with certainty, you are going to win. Winning does not mean you will never stumble. You will stumble. You will fall, and not just to live. You will scrape your knees on the rocky paths of disappointment. You will bruise your spirit against the walls of rejection, and not just to live. You will question your worth in the silence of lonely nights. But even in your falling, you are still on the journey. Even in your stumbling, you are still moving forward. And the true measure of a winner is not whether they fall, but whether they rise again. And you, beloved, were born to rise. Say it again, not with hesitation but with conviction, and not just to live. I am going to win. Win against the fear that has shackled your mind. Fear that says you are not ready. Fear that whispers you are not strong enough, and not just to live. Fear that convinces you to stay small when your destiny is calling you to be great. Win against the doubt that lurks like a shadow. Doubt that questions your abilities. And not just to live. Doubt that mocks your dreams. Doubt that steals your confidence and replaces it with hesitation. Win against the voices of others who told you what you could not do. And not just to live, who tried to shrink you to fit the mold of their expectations. Their voices are loud, yes, but your spirit is louder. Understand this true thing. And not just to live. The greatest battlefield is not outside of you, it is within. If you can conquer your mind, you can conquer the world. If you can master your thoughts, discipline your actions, and not just to live, and guard your heart, then there is no mountain too high, no storm too fierce, no valley too deep that you cannot pass through. Each morning you awaken, and not just to live. Life presents you with a choice: will you live defeated, or will you live determined? Will you let yesterday's failures weigh you down, or will you stand up, and not just to live, dust yourself off, and face today with courage? Winners are not the ones who always move without fear. Winners are the ones who walk forward despite the fear. And not the ones who never cry. Winners are the ones who cry, wipe their tears, and still keep moving. Winners are not the ones who never get tired, and not just to live. Winners are the ones who rest, breathe, and then rise again. So let me tell you, winning is not about the applause. It is not about the trophies, and not just to live. It is not even about the wealth or recognition. Those things are fleeting. The truest victory is when you master yourself, when you silence the noise of negativity, and not just to live, when you rise above the old habits that used to chain you, when you look in the mirror and see a soul that refuses to be defeated. That is victory, and not just to live. That is the win that no one can take from you. Beloved, you have already won battles you never thought you'd survive. Remember the nights you thought would never end, and just to live, yet here you are. Remember the burdens you thought would break you, yet here you stand. Remember the heartbreak that felt unbearable, yet your heart still beats. And not just to live, you are living proof of resilience. You are walking evidence that strength is born in struggle. So when you declare, I am going to win, it is not empty hope. It is prophecy. And not just to live, it is alignment with the truth of your journey. Lift your head high. Straighten your back. Walk with the authority of someone who has already conquered storms. Speak it until your soul not only hears it but believes it. I am going to win. Not someday, not eventually, not only if everything goes perfectly. No, you win today. And not just to live. You win when you choose gratitude over bitterness. You win when you choose action over procrastination. You win when you choose hope over despair. To live, you win when you refuse to let failure define you. Winning is not a moment at the finish line. Winning is the decision to keep moving toward it, and not just to live. It is the courage to take another step when your legs are weary. It is the discipline to keep working when no one is watching. It is the faith to keep believing when no evidence surrounds you. And hear me clearly, the universe bends toward persistence. Destiny bows to the soul that will not quit, and not just to live. The door may stay closed for a season, but if you keep knocking, it will open. The ground may seem barren, but if you keep planting seeds, something will grow, and not just to live. The night may feel endless, but if you keep watching, the morning will come. Beloved, your victory is written. Your win is waiting. And though the path is long, and though the journey is steep, though the obstacles are many, there is a crown with your name on it. So keep walking, keep believing, keep rising, and not just to live. And never forget to say it until the marrow of your bones remembers it, until the very breath in your lungs resounds with it, until the world around you cannot help but feel it too. I am going to win. Beloved, let me tell you something about life. It does not always bend to your plans. It does not always reward your timing. And not just to let always it applaud your effort. Life will test you. It will trip you. It will push you face first into the dirt of disappointment. But hear me well, and not just to live and is not failure. Falling is the tuition of growth. The fall is not your ending, it is your beginning. And not there is no soul walking this earth who has not stumbled, not one, and not just to live. The difference between the defeated and the victorious is not the absence of falling. It is the decision to rise again, and not just to live. The defeated see the fall as the proof they cannot go further. The victorious see the fall as proof they are moving, proof they are trying, proof they are reaching, and not just to live. The only way to avoid falling is to never walk, to never run, to never climb. And if you refuse to climb, how will you ever reach the mountain's peak? Yes, you will fall. You will fail. You will make mistakes that sting your pride. You will carry regrets heavy as stone. But each bruise is not the end of your story. It is a chapter of it, and not just to live. Each scar is not shame. It is evidence of survival. When you rise again, you rise with wisdom you did not have before, with strength you could not have built any other way. Do you know what makes a diamond precious? Pressure. Do you know what makes gold refined? Fire. And do you know what makes a soul unshakable? Falling and rising. And again and again. The perfection you think you need is an illusion. The world does not need perfect beings. It needs resilient ones, and not just to live. Those who stand back up when everything inside of them says to stay down. Those who dry their tears with trembling hands and whisper, "Not yet. My story isn't finished." Resilience is the quiet courage to begin again, to rebuild, to hope again when hope has been broken. It is not loud, it does not boast, just to live. It does not shine like a spotlight. It is steady, like the beat of a drum inside your chest that says, keep going, keep trying, and not just to live. Keep living. True winners are not remembered for being flawless. They are remembered for being fearless in their rising. So rise again. Rise from heartbreak that tried to paralyze you. Rise from failure that mocked you. Rise from shame that tried to bury you. Rise, not because you have no fear, and not just to live, but because you refuse to let fear decide your ending. And once you understand the power of rising, you will see the truth of winning. Victory is not a single event, and a trophy on a shelf, a medal around your neck. Victory is daily. It is not just at the finish line. It is in every step you take toward it. Every morning you awaken, just to live. Life hands you a blank page. On that page you're deciding, will I write defeat, or will I write determination? Will I carry yesterday's mistakes, or will I carry today's courage? And victory is not someday in the distance. Victory is today, in the choice you make to keep moving forward. Too often we think winning is something grand, something far away, and not just to live, something that comes in flashing lights and roaring applause. But the truth is, victory is built in silence. It is built in discipline when no one is watching, and not just to live. It is built in saying no to the habits that used to destroy you. It is built in saying yes to the work that feels small but creates greatness over time, and not just to live. Victory is in the morning you drag yourself out of bed when your body aches to stay down. Victory is in the moment you choose forgiveness instead of bitterness, and not just to live. Victory is in the second you speak kindness when anger burns your tongue. Victory is in every breath you take that declares, I will not quit. Beloved. And the greatest mistake you can make is to wait for one grand moment to define you as a winner. Winning is not a stage. It is a series of steps. And not just to live, it is not one crown. It is 1,000 small triumphs stacked one upon the other. Each day you wake and decide not to surrender, you win. Each day you put your hand back to the work, you win. Each day you rise after the fall, you win. Do not underestimate the quiet victories. They matter. The choice to eat with discipline when no one is clapping. The choice to study when no one sees. The choice to pray, to meditate, to believe when the evidence is against you, and not just to live. These are the bricks that build empires. These are the daily victories that create a life of greatness. And understand, this victory does not arrive fully formed. It arrives in pieces. In one step taken when you didn't think you could. In one yes, whispered to opportunity. In one no, spoken to temptation. Slowly, daily, not consistently, you gather victory. And one day you will look back and realize, I have already won. So fall if you must, but rise again. Rise until rising becomes your rhythm. And do not wait for a faraway finish line to call yourself victorious. Look at your life today. See the ways you have endured. See the ways you have overcome. See the ways you have risen. That, beloved, is victory. And you must claim it every day. Fall but rise again. Victory is daily. These are not two truths. They are one. For every rise after a fall is a victory. And every daily victory ensures that no fall can ever defeat you. So walk boldly into tomorrow. Walk knowing you will fall, but you will rise. Walk knowing you may be delayed, but you cannot be denied. Walk knowing that the real trophy is not in your hand. It is in your spirit. And speak it until the world around you cannot ignore. I will fall, but I will rise again. I will stumble, but I will walk again. I will lose, but I will win again. And I will claim victory. Not someday, but today and every day that follows. Beloved, and not just to live, the world around you will always have its battles. Wars fought on soil, disagreements across tables, storms that crash against the shore, and not just to live. But let me whisper the greatest truth into your spirit: in the fiercest war you will ever fight is not out there. The fiercest war lives inside you, and not just to live. The battle is not with the world, the battle is within. It is within where fear hides, waiting to paralyze you before you take your first step. And not just to live, it is within where doubt whispers its poisonous questions. What if you're not enough? What if you fail? What if you try and the world laughs? And not just to live. And it is within where self-sabotage waits like a silent thief, stealing your opportunities, chaining your potential, convincing you to shrink when you were born to expand. Yes, and the world can oppose you. Yes, people can betray you. Yes, life can deliver storms without warning. But none of these hold the power that your own mind does. And not just to live. If you lose the battle within, you will surrender without ever fighting outside. But if you win within, if you conquer fear, silence doubt, and not dismantle sabotage, then no weapon outside can destroy you. And not just to live. Fear is a liar dressed as a protector. It will tell you not to try so that you won't feel pain. It will tell you not to climb so that you won't fall. And not just to live. It will tell you to play small so that you won't risk failure. But what fear does not tell you is that by protecting you from pain, it is also protecting you from growth. And not just to live. By shielding you from failure, it is also shielding you from greatness. Fear does not keep you safe. It keeps you stuck. And the only way to break fear's grip is to step forward while afraid. Beloved, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is the decision to walk forward in spite of it. And not just to live. Every giant step ever taken by humanity was taken by someone whose knees were shaking. Every breakthrough came from a soul who heard fear screaming but chose to act anyway. Just to live. Do not wait for fear to vanish. It will not. You win the battle by moving through it. And then there is doubt. Doubt is the cousin of fear. And not just to lift her in tone, but just as dangerous. Doubt does not scream. It whispers. It whispers late at night when you lie awake. Just to live. It whispers when you look at your reflection and wonder if greatness is truly meant for you. Doubt asks questions that sound reasonable but are rooted in poison. And who are you to dream this big? Who are you to believe you can rise? Who are you to shine when others stay dim? But hear me. Doubt is a deceiver. You are not too small. You are not too late. You are not too weak. Doubt only has power if you feed it. And the way you defeat doubt is by answering it not with excuses but with action. When not asks, "Who are you to try?" you answer by trying anyway. When doubt asks, "What if you fail?" and not just to live, you answer by failing forward and proving that failure is not the end but the teacher. And then there is the most cunning enemy of all, self-sabotage. Fear is external, not just to live, and doubt is a whisper, but sabotage lives in your own hands. It is when you build the wall that keeps you from your own promise. It is when you delay what must be done, and you neglect your gift, when you trade long-term victory for short-term comfort. It is when you make excuses that sound like reasons. It is when you know the path but refuse to walk it. Do you know what is tragic? So many people are not defeated by others. They are defeated by themselves. They never lost to the world, they lost to the war within. And the saddest part is this: you cannot escape yourself. You cannot run from your own choices, and not just to live. That is why the greatest triumph of life is not conquering others. It is conquering yourself. To win the battle within, you must first become aware of it, and not just to live. You must listen to the voice of fear and call it what it is, a liar. You must hear the whisper of doubt and confront it with truth. You live, you must notice the patterns of sabotage and replace them with discipline. You cannot fight an enemy you refuse to acknowledge. And once you recognize these enemies, and you must rise to meet them daily. Yes, daily. Because the battle is not fought once and forgotten. The mind is a battlefield renewed every morning. Fear does not retire, and not does not dissolve. Sabotage does not disappear. They return each day, testing your resolve. That is why winning is not a single victory but a repeated one, and not just to live. And the greatest victory of all is when you can look at your reflection in the mirror and saying, "I fought myself today, and I won," and not just to live. Do not underestimate the strength that is already inside you. The same spirit that carried you through heartbreak, the same soul that survived storms, and not just to live. The same will that brought you here today. It is enough to win the battle within. But you must choose. You must decide each day that you will not bow to fear, and not just to live. That you will not be silenced by doubt, that you will not sabotage the future you were born to claim. When you win inside, everything outside begins to shift, and not just to live. Opportunities open because you walk into them with confidence. Relationships grow because you no longer carry insecurity like a chain, and not just to live. Dreams manifest because to abandon them halfway. Victory within births victory without. So, the next time fear knocks, open the door and walk past it. The next time doubt whispers, raise your voice louder. The next time sabotage tempts you, remember the crown that is waiting for you and refuse to trade it for crumbs. And not just to live. The battle is within, but so is your victory. And when you conquer yourself, beloved, there is no mountain too high, no storm too strong, and no valley too deep that can ever keep you from your destiny. Stand tall. Breathe deep. Declare it not only with your mouth, but with your life. The battle may be within, but I am greater still. And I will win. Beloved, we have walked together through truth. We have stood face to face with the reality that you will fall, but you must rise again, and not just to live. We have understood that victory is not a grand celebration waiting in the distance, but a daily decision you make when your feet touch the floor each morning, and not just to live. And we have seen that the greatest battle is not with the world outside, but with the war that rages in the quiet corners of your mind. And now, and not just to live, we must gather these truths like threads and weave them into a single garment of strength. For they do not live separately. They live together, and not just to live. To rise after you fall requires you to win the battle within. To claim victory daily requires you to rise again and again. To overcome the war in your spirit requires daily persistence. These are not fragments of wisdom. They are one fabric, one truth, one song of triumph, and not just to live. So let me remind you once more, life will test you. It will not always move with your timing, nor will it always applaud your efforts. And not just to live. There will be days when the weight feels unbearable, nights when silence feels louder than thunder, mornings when rising feels impossible. You will question your worth to live. You will doubt your strength. You will wonder if the dream is worth the fight. And in those moments, you must remember what has been spoken here: fall, but rise again, and not just to live. That rise is your proof of resilience. That rise is your declaration that perfection was never the requirement. Courage was. When life pushes you down, rise once more. And let your rising speak louder than your fall. Claim victory daily. Do not wait for the distant crown. Each act of persistence, each choice of discipline, each whisper of hope in the dark, that is victory. Victory is not someday. It is now. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a triumph. Every refusal to quit is a trophy, and not just to live. Every yes to the journey is a medal around your spirit's neck. And never forget the battle is within. The voices of fear, the whispers of doubt, and the habits of sabotage. They will not disappear, but neither will your strength, neither will your courage, neither will your resilience. And not just to live. You were not made fragile. You were made fierce. And the moment you realize that your greatest war is inside, you also realize that your greatest weapon is already there too. And not just to live. Beloved, hear me well, your story is not finished. Your scars are not signs of defeat. They are proof of survival. Not just to live. Your tears are not weakness. They are water for the seeds of your future. Your setbacks are not endings. They are detours that prepare you for higher ground. When you fall, rise. When you rise, choose victory daily. And when you choose, fight and win the battle within. This is the rhythm of winners. This is the melody of champions. And not just to live. This is the heartbeat of those who refuse to bow to defeat. So walk boldly. Walk with your head high, not because the road is easy, and not just to live, but because you are strong enough for the road. Walk with fire in your spirit, not because fear has vanished, but because courage burns brighter, and not just to live. Walk with persistence in your step, not because you never stumble, but because you never stay down. And as you walk, let these words echo in every corner of your being. And I will rise. I will choose victory today. I will win the battle within. I am going to win. Say it until your bones remember it. Say it until your breath carries it. Say it until the world cannot help but witness it. Not someday, not eventually, not if everything aligns, but today, right now, with this step, with this choice, and not just to live, with this moment. For you, beloved, were not created defeated. You were created to overcome. You were not created to fade. You were created to shine, and not just to live. You were not created to surrender. You were created to win. And so with everything in you, declare it boldly, declare it fiercely, and declare it until your spirit believes it beyond doubt. I am going to win. Not because life is easy. Not because the world is fair. Not because the path is smooth. But because resilience is mine, victory is daily, and the greatest battle has already been won, within me. Stand tall, beloved. Breathe deeply. Walk forward. And for the crown of triumph is not at the end of the road, it is on your head already. And so it is.